What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be breaking down 6 different ways you can resell sneakers in 2023. I've been reselling shoes for around 7 years now, and these are the methods I've learned over the years. Some are great and some I wouldn't necessarily recommend, but I think it'll be helpful to lay out everything on the table for you so you can best choose what works for you. And I have used these methods to open 2 of my own sneaker stores. Reselling in general is something I think anybody can do, whether you're a teenager in middle school, a college dropout, or a parent with 3 kids. Without further ado, let's just get right into the video. So the first method I want to discuss with you guys is selling on platforms. Selling on platforms is one of my least favorite methods, but it's actually how I got started reselling shoes. What I mean by selling on platforms is selling on apps like StockX, GOAT, Stadium Goods, and Flight Club. It's pretty easy and straightforward. The only thing I don't like about it is how low of a price you get for your shoes. Basically, you just list the ask on StockX, and once somebody buys it, you print the label, ship the shoes, and you get paid out once the shoes arrive and are authenticated. How I use this method myself is your boy used to work at Foot Locker and I got that 30% discount. So regular Jordans used to be $200, and then with that 30% discount, it would knock it down to around $150. I would just sell the shoes for retail and get the $50 profit. But this was back in 2016 and 17. Since then, I've heard a lot about Stadium Goods and Flight Club being better options because they sell their shoes at higher prices. Obviously, they can pay out higher prices. So, I mean, I know everybody doesn't work at Foot Locker or even Finish Line to have that discount, so it'll be hard to sell shoes at retail for a profit. So you might want to check out Stadium Goods and Flight Club to see if they can offer better payouts. I do know that StockX offers different seller levels, and you start off at like a 9% fee, and then it goes down to like a 3%, I believe. So that is one perk of selling on StockX. I would least recommend this option because, like I said before, you would be selling your shoes for under market, and then you also have to wait on payout. It usually takes 3 to 4 days. At least it did when I sold shoes on StockX. Alright, so after each method I explain, I'm going to be showing you this resale graph. Basically just rating each method and then recapping the positives and negatives. So for platforms, I give it an overall rating of a 7 out of 10. Payout would be fair. It would be slightly below market. Some positives are that it's always there if you need it. If you can't sell the shoes on your own, you have a backup plan. And like I said before, straight to the point. You just list the ask on StockX. Once it sells, you print the label, ship them, and get paid. And then you also get to build status. You get to build that seller level. So over time, you get a lower and lower fee. And then some negatives are the slow payout. You have to wait 3 or 4 days to get paid out. And then pairs can get lost or stolen. And then you also do no networking. You're not building a customer base. And then shipping could also be a negative depending on the way you look at it. This brings us to method number 2, which is selling to resale stores, which is slightly better than selling to platforms. For one, you don't get the fees taken out, so you usually get close to the market. And then you also get paid out instantly. You don't have to ship and you don't have to wait for the authentication process. This is still a good option if you can, for one, get shoes for below market so you can sell them at market to the stores. And then for 2, if you can't sell the shoes on your own, like I mentioned before, just as a backup plan. Usually most resale stores offer highest bid, if not highest bid payout, which is what you would be getting on StockX if you were to sell them right at that moment with the fees taken out, of course. But on the bright side, it's way quicker than waiting on the authentication process. You instantly get paid out, and it's usually a little bit more, if not the same, as what you'll be getting on StockX. That's what I'm talking about! This requires minimum effort on the reselling side. Obviously, you just have to go up to the store and sell them. And then you can do this consistently if you can find somewhere consistently to buy shoes from in order to sell them to the resale stores to make a profit. I would have definitely chose this option over selling to StockX if I had a resale store in the area at the time when I was working at Foot Locker. Back to our reselling graph. For resale stores, overall I give it a 7 out of 10. Payout would be fair. It would be slightly better than platforms, if not the same. And then some positives are it's way more quick, efficient, and convenient. Some negatives are sometimes they try to lowball you depending on what store you go to. Consistency, sometimes they're not always buying. And like I said, just with platforms, you do very little networking. You're not building a customer base and for people to consistently come back and buy from you. I just want to mention, if you do have any questions about any of these methods, just leave it down in the comments below and I'll make sure to get them answered. I'll respond to every single comment. And let's just get right into method number 3. Method number 3 is selling to customers locally. This is the method that most resellers start off with. It's slightly better than selling to StockX or GOAT, and also better than selling from resale stores because you have a customer base, which means you can sell your shoes for a fair price at market, if not above. The one negative I would say is doing the meetups themselves. You need to make sure that you're meeting up in a public place, not at your house, and not in a dark alley at 12 o'clock at night. This is something I personally had to worry about growing up in Muskegon. It's almost like Detroit. So just make sure that you're taking the necessary precautions when you're doing sneaker meetups. This method is especially good if you're well known in your area and you have a lot of friends, family, and a big social network. Because obviously the more people you know, the more people you can sell to. Even if you have 100 people that you know, if only 5 people buy something and it's a $200 shoe, you just made $1,000. In contrast, if you're not very social person and you don't have a big social network, I do have something for you, so stick around for the whole video. In my case, I was one of the only resellers in the area at the time, so I had a kind of a big monopoly. I could either charge at market or above market depending on what the shoe was. I'm kind of putting these in order of how I did them. I started off selling on platforms, then I started selling locally once I started seeing that people locally need shoes and there wasn't any resale stores in the area at the time. So if we come over to the resale graph again, local customers, I give an overall rating of an 8 out of 10. The payout will be good. It will be at market or above. Some positives will be networking, growing your customer base, growing your social media, and then also you might have a monopoly in your area. You might be able to charge over market because nobody in your area is selling shoes like you are. Some negatives will be your safety, flaking, which means people just basically canceling when they set up an appointment to meet you. And then your availability, you might not always be available to do those meetups. You might have a full-time job or 3 kids like I mentioned earlier. And then there might be a lot of competition in your area depending on where you're at. So this brings us to option number 4, which is selling to customers online. Selling to customers online is a great option if you don't want to run around and do sneaker meetups. However, it's one of the most competitive ways to sell with all the platforms out there alongside all the other sneaker resellers that are on social media platforms. I do feel if you're ambitious enough, you post consistently, and your prices are competitive, that you can succeed in today's online marketplace. I really wouldn't say there's too many negatives besides the competition and having to ship if you consider that a negative. I would say this is one of the best options. It is the most competitive, but once you get over that hump, it can be the best option. You get to work from home, and all you really have to do is post on your story, text people back, and ship shoes. Alright, so pulling up the resale graph again, selling to online customers, I give an overall rating of a 7.5 out of 10. The payout will be good. It will be either at market, if not a little bit below, possibly a little bit above. Some positives will be networking and growing your social. Some negatives will be shipping, chargebacks, which is basically a fraudulent charge. And then also, it is a little bit more competitive like I mentioned earlier. Next up, method number 5, which is sneaker events. This is probably one of the most exciting ways to sell. Networking at these events is crucial for success as a reseller. You need to find both buyers and sellers, and they're all going to be in one place. So make sure that you're talking to people, networking, getting people's social media handles and phone numbers. Building a network of both buyers and sellers is the one and only key when it comes to reselling sneakers. Networking is one positive. Another positive or negative could be traveling for you. Depending on the way you look at it and if you enjoy traveling or not. Just keep in mind, if you are planning on selling, you have to bring all these pairs with you. Pricing at sneaker events, it can range from all over the place. Usually what I experience is usually just around market. And if you're buying in bulk, you can usually get stuff below market. The event that you're going to, you might want to do a little bit of research on, see who's showing up, see who's not, see if there's going to be a lot of buyers, a lot of sellers, and target what you're looking for. Overall, selling at sneaker events is a great option. It's one of my personal favorites. I give it an overall rating of an 8 out of 10. The payout would be good. It would be at market. Some positives would be networking. You get to buy inventory, and then also traveling if you see that as a positive or a negative. And then some negatives would be it's lots of effort. You have to load up all your pairs, bring them in a U-Haul if you have that many, and then there is a little bit of overhead, which would be the U-Haul, gas, and then your table fee. But overall, I think selling at sneaker events is one of the top 3 options that you have. But certainly not least is consigning at resale stores. Is the one I would most recommend as long as you can find a reputable resale store to sell at. In this option most for simplicity and return prices, this is the place where you can maximize your returns at. Because if you think about it, the highest price you'll probably ever see for a shoe will be in a resale store, therefore that's where you can get the most money. Just a quick example, a Jordan 1 mid usually goes for $120 to $140. And resale stores usually sell those for around $250. You could probably get at least $160, which is $20 to $40 over market, which is insanely good compared to when you compare it to StockX payout. I just love this option because it's one way that you can passively resell sneakers while you're sleeping. You simply just drop off your shoes, track your inventory, and get paid once your items sell. This all sounds good, and it is, as long as you can find a reputable resale store to consign with, like I mentioned before. The one and most important thing to do when it comes to consigning with resale stores is tracking your inventory. There's many different ways you can track your inventory. I know there's certain software programs out there, and you can really just use Google Sheets. This will be a good segue into the negatives. The negatives will be losing inventory, getting it lost, stolen, or damaged, and getting paid on time and for the correct amount. As long as all of these things go smoothly, you should have nothing to worry about, and you should be making money in your sleep. So as you can see, consigning at stores is probably one of the best options you have when it comes to reselling sneakers. Overall, I give it a 9 out of 10. The payout will be great. Most likely it'll be over market. The positives will be no effort. Like I said, you just have to drop off the shoes and sell them. And then you also don't have to deal with people. You don't have to set up appointments. You don't have to message, none of that. And then some negatives would be pairs getting lost, stolen, or damaged, and late payouts. And then also you're not doing any networking, so you're not building a customer base there. But I wouldn't really worry about it because they have the customer base. You just need to worry about having the shoes. So in the end, we went over 6 different ways you can resell sneakers in 2023. If you have any questions, just leave them down in the comment section below and I'll make sure to get to them. If you'd like to see more sneaker related content or have any other video ideas, just leave them in the comment section below and make sure you hit that subscribe button.